Mupata, good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and people who identify as others, and welcome to this fine evening of SSRI Racing. Here on the Simsport Racing International YouTube channel, I'm Mr. Warner Oliver. Joining me in the booth tonight will be absolutely no one, and behind the cameras are Chris Hill, as always. Tonight we go racing in the second tier of our GT3 championship. It will be the Silver and AM drivers, who we will see live on the track tonight. But don't be fooled by the status of Silver and AM. These guys are hellishly fast anyways, known for giving us some of the best and finest racing action that we have ever seen. Tonight's race will be held on the wonderful virtual Brands Hatch. Tons and tons of corners around this track, famously known throughout history, both from Formula 1, British touring cars, and of course other championships as well. It's of course the full track layout we are using and not the Indy layout. Great for racing. We'll see the northern end of the track. Rain could happen tonight. We actually don't know exactly. There is a chance of it. We do cross our fingers that we'll see God rain his anger upon the drivers tonight with tons and tons of water. We would prefer this to look like the River Thames when we are finished. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Around Brands Hatches, it's really one of those tracks where you need to stay focused no matter the weather conditions. The margins between setting a good lap, doing good pace, and well, spinning wildly out of control after hitting a curb up, just putting two wheels slightly off the racing line, could theoretically put you in a wall, or you would at least lose a ton of time by going off track. It is an old school racing track, Brands Hatch. Not that much of a tarmac runoff here. If you go off, then you'll see some grass. If you're lucky, some gravel. If you're very unlucky, a very solid barrier that can inflict a lot of damage on these GT3 racing cars. Speaking of the cars, we still have quite a few different manufacturers on the grid tonight. BMWs, McLarens, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Ferraris, a lonely Honda and a lonely Nissan as well. I also think a Mercedes could be up for the great viewers tonight if you're very lucky out there on track. Good to see the Japanese cars being selected. No Lexus though, but we still have the Nissan of Richard Prixley, who are one of the contenders to win a race like this. Good, solid, very fast driver. I know a lot of the people tuning in tonight are only tuning in to see what Richard Prixley can do. So we will definitely look forward to see his pace tonight. The Honda driver, Wouter Blitzmer, of course, also in the race. We didn't see that good pace of the Honda last week when the Tier 1 drivers were racing around here. Maybe Wouter can do something about that and show us how quick that Honda actually are. Have become slightly better for both of those cars, actually all three of the Japanese cars, after the latest Kuno's Bob update. They have become slightly more competitive. They are still not top tier cars, but yeah, put those cars in good drivers' hands and they could probably still do a lot of damage. We saw that last week out with Richard Prixley taking a dominant win at Kota. Good showing for him and for the entirety of the Wild Things Racing team. We saw Denise Pope as well in that race, doing quite the alternate strategy. Not entirely sure if that was the quickest overall to do, but it definitely paid off for her. She got out of traffic and really paced herself up to a good finishing position. Of course, tonight we'll have a 1 hour race. This means mandatory pit stops, of course. In the pits, the drivers will have to take tires. Tire choices for tonight are wet tires and dry tires, as always. It's not like Formula 1 where we will vary between 5 different compounds. It's basically dries or wets. Whether or not that we'll see the wets this evening, we will have to wait and see. Hopefully they will be taken into action. It is a little bit difficult for the drivers to strategize for a race like this when rain could be on the forecast. Normally in races like this, the drivers would fuel up for about half the race and then go in for the mandatory pit stop, take the fuel for the other half and a fresh set of tires. But with rain in the maybe horizon, let's just keep it on a maybe. We actually still don't know whether or not it will rain in the race, but if it rains and it happens in the last 10 minutes and you already have taken your pit stop, you might be in a world of trouble in regards to your finishing position. Good to see the YouTube chat is going strong as well this evening. Not that often people are tuning in that strongly for the second tier race. Good to see all the action out there. And speaking of action, if you like the SSRI action, then remember to tune in as well in this weekend on Saturday when we go racing in Valencia in the Endurance Championship, round 2 of the championship, of course. Interesting race, the first one at Silverstone. We had 2 rain periods there, though this time it's only a 6-hour race in the very sunny Valencia. Hopefully for us who are going to drive in the actual race, we are crossing our fingers not to see any rain, as I don't think that many people have done practice in those conditions. A track where track cuts, of course, will be one of the main speaking points throughout the race. It could be here tonight on Brands Hatch as well. There are a few corners where you could have a tendency to try and risk getting a better exit of the corners and cut them just a little bit too much, or go in with too much speed and running wide, getting the track cut on the exit of corners. So whether or not that we'll see people getting the drive-throughs for the track cut tonight, we will just have to wait and see. Personally, I don't think so. Although stranger things have happened in motor racing than a driver getting 4 cuts in a race. Of course, the rules for the track cuts are 3 cuts and you're on the final warning. If you get the 4th one, then the drive-through will come. I've just been whispered ever so slightly in my ears, some kind of a tickle. I think it's Chris Hill who's talking something about a track guide in the back of my head that we might want to see. And here we go live on the track guide. Coming down Braham Straight, of course, cambered start-finish straight. It is interesting to see when the cars are lining up on the grid. Through that Paddock Hill bend, the first corner, very, very tricky corner. 2 lines, either wide on the entry, heading the inside curb and going back wide on the exit. Or you could just keep it in the middle of the track, basically, and then hit the apex up to Druids, one of the most famous corners in all of British racing. Very, very difficult hairpin. Usually it will be taken as a double apex hairpin. Graham Hill bend coming up next. This is one of the corners where track cuts could appear, and we often see people ending up all the way out in the grass on the right hand side. Cooper Straight we go down before we head into Surtees. Also tricky corner, as you really want to be patient on the throttle, as there's a lot of camber here and the car might have a tendency to spin out if you go too early onto the throttle. Back straight we go. Pilgrim's drop will be the next interesting part of the track, which is this drop we see here, going downhill up towards Hawthorne Bend. Just gearing down to 4th, hitting it as tight as you can early on the throttle to get the best possible run down towards Westfield Bend. Also a corner where we can see a lot of track warnings both from the entry and exit of Westfield Bend. Dingle the small kink we see here before Sheens. Sheens also one of the more tricky corners. Track cuts can appear on the inside. Be very careful not to run wide on the outside of that. That is something that happens a lot to drivers when they push it. Sterling should go through here. Difficult corner. Lot of camber on that corner. Basically throw it in early on the throttle. This is one of the overtaking opportunities into Clark's curve. Final corner on the track before the start-finish straight. Shout out to the pit lane. Can be difficult to get the car slowed down for that chicane before you have to get the car on the pit speed limiter. Great racing track we'll see tonight. Brands Hatch are one of my personal favorite tracks. Not just in Britain, but in the entirety of the world. It's so fun to drive, so rewarding getting a good lap put together here. And very, very punishing if you go slightly wide. All that grass, all that gravel, and those walls are not that far away from the track on a lot of the parts of this wonderful racing circuit. Interesting to see, as I think that we have some qualifying action coming up very shortly from the drivers live on the track. Rumors go that the first cars have left the pits, and we are just waiting for a live feed from the producers in the virtual Brands Hatch. Oh, here we go. First look of all the cars will be Bart Swearing from the Sim Racing Holland team in the pits still. At this point, he might want to go out soon so he can get some clean air. It's not the worst of ideas to try and go out late in this qualifying session after all the other drivers have started their attempts, or after they've gone onto the track, as Bart will have a lot of clean track around him when he gets around to start his qualifying lap time. qualifying around Brands Hatch can be a little bit challenging, as it's not a very long track, and even with the not full grid we have tonight, but still 24 cars on the track. The space on the track are premium, not that easy to find a good spot, and we can see how the cars are queuing up through the final corner that I just knew the name of 3 seconds ago. Clark's curve, I think it was, a corner, whatever, something with Clark. Round of Van der Voort we are following around here. Beautiful, beautiful Golf livery on that Ferrari. THRC, the team he's representing tonight. Or well, always representing, to be honest. It's not just tonight, we see that. On to the lap we go. Let's just see if we can follow rounds around here. Ooh, he goes right there. That cannot be good for the lap time. This is very likely an invalidated lap time, I do believe it is. Not optimum from Van der Voort. Now we just have to focus on maybe trying to maintain the gap to the car ahead and behind, not getting too close to any of the cars, or letting the car behind come too close to him, as the car behind him will be Richard Prixley. Further up, Wounter wins on a hot lap. He will be the first one to set a lap time, it seems, on the track. Or is that Honda actually the first one to do so? We'll just wait and see, but Wounter wins through Clark's curve. Bramstedt Dumas first driver to set a lap time, 23.8. Blitzmer second. Right fourth, wins very close to Milan Dumas. I don't think that lap time Dumas have set will stand as the pole time at the end of this section. We'll have to wait and see about that, but I do expect these drivers to at least get close to the 22s, maybe even in the 21s. We'll have to wait. 21s might be a bit of a stretch, but in the 22s they might go, these guys. A lot of times getting on the board now. Michael De Gore, he's definitely trying to find an improvement in the Optimum Motorsports McLaren. Beautiful, beautiful car, strong car around here. We do have a tendency, it is a tendency, we saw that last week with the Tier 1 guys, that the mid-engine cars perform the best around Brands Hatch with the balance of those cars. I'm not going to say that the front-engine cars don't stand a chance here, because they definitely do in the capable hands on board with Michael De Gore. Ooh, slide oversteer moment coming into to the corner there. That's something you have to look at. Not choosing to cut Westfield bend that much in this attempt, at least invalidated Michael De Gore. Went for that, he didn't go for it, but it is an invalid lap time beyond. But good to see the steering inputs of these drivers. Slight bit of correction there on the exit of Sterling's. And you just have to set it up and get the good exit to start his lap with just a tiny bit of extra speed. Looks to be nice and solid down the throttle. Further up the field we have Frank Hopp in his Lamborghini, doing a good improvement so far on that lap. Jumps up into second position, does Frank Hopp. Beautiful, beautiful lap time. Good job from the Lamborghini driver team. What is that, DG Racing, or does it say OG? I really can't see. I think it's DG. Good drive from him, putting the gap between first and second currently with less than a tenth of a second, with 3 drivers within that, as Richard Prixley jumps up into to P2. Though still an AM driver on pole so far in this session. Doubtful that that will be the actual pole time when we round off the qualifying. Quick question to people out there in the YouTube chat. Any special drivers that you support? It'd be a good time to shout them out. We have heard the Wild Things Racing, of course, support for them, but there must be people supporting other drivers as well out there watching. Prixley we watch here in the beautiful, beautiful Nissan. One of the more unusual cars to see on track. He did choose this one before the Kunos Bob came out, which is why we don't see him in Tier 1. I think if the Kunos Bob had come out when he did the pre-season test, he might have been in Tier 1 with this beautiful machinery. The classic Wild Things livery on Richard Prixley's car, the black and pink, where the newer versions of the Denise Pope design cars are more pink with a little bit of black on them instead. They are beautiful as well, but this is definitely one of the classics in SSRI and in general sim racing. The black, going from one Wild Things racing car to another Denise Pope in the pink machinery. More usual of the newer iterations of this livery. Very beautiful and very easy to see on the track with the pink cars. Not the most common of color choices from the designers out there, though. Denise have made this this livery work very well. We see it on the Ferraris in Tier 1 as well when they go racing there with Chris Haag and Mr. Sidikit. Denise Pope, I'm just trying to look over the timing sheets to see how she's doing on her current lap. Slightly up on her lap, it looks like. This could be a good improvement, getting within a second of fastest lap time if she can keep it around. Obviously, I can't really tell you if she had a bad final section last time around. She did draw a bit of time there, but still close to the improvement. Dropped maybe a little bit too much. We'll have to wait and see as she comes into Clark's corner now, or Clark's curve, or whatever it's called, Mr. Clark. Power slide on the exit, that will not be good for the possible improvement. Doesn't look like that she'll be jumping any further up, at least on that run, but she will just go again, as they just so happen to do in qualifying. Steve Parker, Mr. Practice himself. This is one of the drivers who does the most practice for races in all of SSRI, the entirety of the community. Doing a good job. A little bit of an interference there from that could have been Wouter Wins in the Golf liveried Ferrari. It wasn't Wins, I've been told the other one. Parker is looking for a slight improvement on his lap time, enough to jump him a spot. Yes, jumps above Craig Hill. Craig Hill leading the AIM championship at the minute, I do believe. And he is way down the grid at this point in qualifying, as Steve Parker just goes wide down the down turn 1, the Paddock Hill bend. Other places on the grid at the minute. Wouter Wins up by 0.3 according to my beautiful timing sheet. This could potentially put him on pole if he does a very good job on it, or provisional pole at least, depending on how well he get this hooked up. Uses all of the track available to him. This is a good lap. Did look very nicely through the final corner. He will improve, but how far will he jump? Second place, less than a tenth behind Richard Prixley, who have taking provisional pole while we have been looking at other drivers. Pascal Vida, Sim Racing Holland, also improving on his lap time. It could put him ahead of Frank Hopp, but not enough to get up to De Gore at this point of time. Down the Braham Straight he goes. Let's see when he crosses the line. P6 ahead of Geens as well. I think Geens also just improved his lap time, jumping ahead of Frank Hopp there. It is getting closer and closer, in the top 10 at least. Parker Olsen further down the field. Also with a slight improvement at the minute. This could put him within a second of the pole time if he keeps up the pace. And he's not that far into the lap, a lot of corners to go. That was a Hawthorne bend, if I'm not mistaken. Westfield bend. Going, using all the track available. On the outside of that curb, there is a little bit of sort of screed grass that can be used to race on. Goes way too wide there in scenes. Unfortunate for him, spinning it around. Prixley taking evasive action in the background. Nothing they could have done about that. Unfortunate for Parker Olsen, but as you can see, these drivers are really pushing hard to try and find every last bit of time they can. Every 1,000 counts in the around Brands Hatch, especially in a field so tight as the Tier 2 championship are here in SSRI. Wouter Blitzmer in the Honda we're looking at the minute. Red Lantern Racing, even though it's not a very red car. The 6 Nice Machinery coming into Westfield. Using the track there, good job so far. Next one are the difficult one, especially in the Honda that doesn't like the curves. You will have to cloud on the inside of that. He doesn't do that and runs wide. Keeps it on track. Time is still running for Blitzmer as he spins it around. You can really see through scenes that Wouter Blitzmer did not want to take that inside curb in the as Parties goes around. Beautiful 360 spin, as he really didn't want to take the inside curve in that Honda, as the Honda are famously known for not liking those kinds of curves. Geens in 7th position at the minute. Even though it's 7th overall, it's actually only 4th in the AM category. Four AM drivers in the top 10 at the minute. Geens was improving slightly, though I think he dropped a bit of time, though that looked very nicely hooked up. Good drive coming into scenes now. He does choose the inside curb as I would highly recommend in the McLaren. Looked slightly late on the brake, but he does keep it on the apex. Good drive out of the corner. Into Clark he comes. Hooked on the inside there, runs nicely out to the curb. Early on the front it looked like. What does Geens do? Does he improve? No. It stays in 8th. So the Honda exiting the pits. A bit of issue there of traffic as one of the Golf liveried Ferraris got in the way of him there as the Golf liveried Ferrari just exited the pits. Swinkling goes wide in the Sim Racing Holland machinery. And hello Shuk, we see you in the chat. Good to see you back in the community and doing well considering the circumstances. Swearing invalidated the lap time on that one, unfortunate for him, but he can obviously go against still 7.5 minutes to go in qualifying. The lap times have dropped to the 23.2s. Still slightly slower than I was expecting in tier 2. Maybe they just haven't managed to get a lap hooked up. So far, Dimitri Schenk we're following around now. They got a little bit loose there on the exit. Ooh, where are we? So over here on the track, only one corner to go. He only needs to navigate through Clark's corner to get his next time on the board. He is ever so slightly improving. I have been throughout this this lap. I think he dropped it there in the final corner. Will he jump up? Yes, he does actually jump up to 11th position for Dimitri Schenk. Stubborn Owl Racing. Great name for him. Andrew Priatko, championship leader in the silver category, using the Mad Panda Motorsports livery, also the team name on his car. Ooh, big slide there in Clark. Big slide there, but he's improving by quite a lot. This will put him up onto 8th. It could have been more if he didn't have that slide. He will park it, go back to the garage, and then jump directly into the pits to get back out on a new fresh set of tires. And not that much fuel. Few cars seems to have been off. Thus Prixley is have balled his lap going way wide there. Barloso we are following around now, improving his lap time at the minute. Not taking too much of that curve. Not that many drivers here in the second tier who chooses to do that. Through the hairpin of Sterling, coming on towards Clark. He does seem to be getting a little bit of slipstream from the BMW up ahead. I hope it doesn't put him off, as he is currently improving on his lap time. Not by a ton, but every little bit counts, as it's very close where he is in the field at the minute. Up into 11th. Jumps both Schenk. Oh yes, Dimitri Schenk immediately improves and takes 11th back. Really tight qualifying so far. But also going wide there. Maybe he was a bit too close to the BMW to get a good lap time on the board. That Beamer will be Schubin in 21st. Mick Schenklins, one of the drivers who was just displaced by Barloso in the Porsche. Getting a little bit too much of a slide there. That cannot be good for the lap time. Already half a second down is Mick Schenklins in the Diva Racing, as I assume it's pronounced. Another car using a bit of pink on their machinery. Always good to look at. The pink and white color combination, always a good one to see. Nice on the eyes. And something different, well, unless if we're looking on the other Porsche of Denise Pope, apparently if you run Porsches here in the second tier, the pink are the color of choice. No improvements on the board mint, as I actually look and see in Hubin are improving further down the field in P21, though he will need to find a lot of time to jump Craig Hill. Craig is not having a good qualifying session so far. That McLaren are sort of a strong car around here, but Craig doesn't seem to have the pace to keep it up and get up there. Hubin did improve ever so slightly, I feel like. Crawford checks into the YouTube chat. Hubin on lap once very right through it. Good to see the BMW though. We did see the Beamer driver struggle a little bit last week as well. Maybe the Beamer doesn't like the this Great British track of Brands Hatch. Still following Hubin around. He have lost quite a bit of time by running wide through Druids. Parker Olsen improving by a tiny bit as well. He goes through the corner of Hawthorne, runs all the way out there. Westfield Bend, and then Sheens will be the next. He will have to negotiate. Let's see if he takes the curb. He does take the curb, not the maximum amount possible, but he does choose the curb. And the Ferrari chooses to allow him to live after taking the curb. Not all cars like it, of course. Into Clark we go for Parker Olsen. We have lost a bit of time since we last checked in on the timing sheets. So that looked very nicely there through Clark. Across the line he goes. Only needs a little bit of time to improve. He does improve and goes ahead of Steve Parker. Shanklin's 13th position at the minute. He will be looking for improvements. He is a tiny bit up. Late in the lap as well. On board in the car, we can see everything that the driver is seeing at the minute, though the dashboard is not working for us on the camera screen. Good run there through Clark. No, lost a bit on the exit. Looked good on the entry though. Cross the line. 12 goes Shanklin. He'll definitely be continuing, as he can still put 2 laps on the board if he keeps it on the track. Lost too much there through the first corner. A little bit of steering wheel action. We could see that Bart swearing from Sim Racing Holland out there, also improving a bit on his time. Still early in the lap. Just gone through Hawthorne, West Bend, or whatever I decided was called, Westfield Bend. Sheens next. Let's see how much curb he takes on the inside. This is basically the question for these guys. Not too much, but that did put the car into a little bit of a slide, not taking enough of the curb, just getting a little bit of loss of traction on the rear right as he went through. Clark will go on to the start-finish straight. He will only have one more attempt to get a good lap in. Swearing did not improve that time around though. Final shot for him. Everyone crossing the line from now on will be on their final attempts, as they do not have enough time to finish a lap and start a new one. So this is where it really counts. Prixley still holds on in pole position. And he is out on track as well. Iron van der Linden, 14th position. One of the Golf liveried Ferraris. Didn't make the best corner there through Paddock Bend into Druid. Goes, doesn't make the apex completely. Though looking on my timing sheets, he's very close to his fastest lap so far in this session. Though he just invalidated pulling off to the side of the track, letting the other drivers get some room on the track. Into the pits he went. Looking in the top 10, Swearing are the only one improving at the minute, up by 3/10 at this point in time through Sheens. Big slide there, risking it all, risking for the chocolate biscuits. Still up on his lap time though, lost a little bit of time through Sheens. Going very hard as time runs out. Now everyone not on a lap will be having the final run as he backs out and goes into the pits. Shanklin's now 13th position, close to his fast lap time. Really risks it there through Sheens. Continues to go as hard as he can. Not a lot of people still on the track and improving, or even on fast lap times. Parties and 17th are up by 7/10 at this point in time. He could be one to look out for as we go to Parties. Alpha Simsport Polish driver Mupata to you. Down coming towards Clark's curve, still up by 2/10. He have lost quite a bit of time through the third sector so far. Losing still on the start-finish straight, though it will be an improvement as he crosses the line. He will jump up to 13th position. Good improvement there from Parties. Elsewise, I don't think anyone is improving on the track at the minute, as we'll just follow Pascal Vida coming around, finishing his final lap of the qualifying session. Doesn't look to be an improvement, but P4 for Pascal Vida, not something to be to take for granted. And that's basically qualifying over. Wow, what a qualifying we had this time around. Interesting starting grid we will see, with 2 AM drivers in the top 3. out there. Richard Prixley in first, Wouter wins, and Jesse van Dryle, Jesse van Dryle, one of the drivers that I normally don't rate that well, but very, very top performance from Jesse van Dryle this time around. Unusual for him to be this far up the grid, but impressive to see, of course, in the McLaren strong car around Brands Hatch. Good drive from Wouter wins, of course, also in the McLaren. Vida will be in fourth. Good drive from him in the Lamborghini as well. Milan Dumas returning after missing out on Kota, I believe he did. In 5th position with Degore next to him. Andrew Priatko, championship leader, all the way down in 7th position with Bart Swearing next to him. Cohen, Geens and Frank Hopp takes the next row on the grid. Geens doing a good job, Frank Hopp all the way down in 10th. Unusually low for him. And then we find the AM championship leader, Craig Hill, in 11th position. Next to him will be Dimitri Schenk. Partis and Schenklins will line up behind them in 13th and 14th. Barloso in the Lamborghini will have Ian van der Linden next to him further down. In 17th we have the Honda of Fons Blitzmer. Good drive in the Honda. Very difficult car to drive, especially around a track like Brands Hatch where the curbs are very important to good lap times. Next to Blitzmer we'll have Denise Pope doing a good job in the Wild Things Racing Machinery. Not the fastest qualifying driver usually, but very good in the races. A good pacing driver. Could be a little bit difficult this time around, overtaking at least. Denise did do a very alternative strategy last time out at Kota. She might be opting for the same this time. We'll have to wait and see. A little bit risky with the unknown weather in the race. Parker Olsen, Steve Parker next on the grid in there. Ferraris, a good couple of Ferraris there. 19th and 20th. Johan Schuben and Wouter van der Woerd lines up, rounds out the grid in the 21st and 22nd position. Only BMW on the grid all the way down in 21st. A bit unfortunate to see the BMW that far down, as it is a beautiful car and honestly not a bad racing machinery. So good to see. But yeah, Brands Hatch difficult track. Overtakings will be very hard for these drivers around here. There are few opportunities around the track, but you are very reliant on the car ahead making a mistake so you can get a better drive, and it will still be a risky move most of the times. Obviously, Druids are one of the best places to get it done, as Paddock Hill Bend are so difficult to get right every single time. Surtees are another corner where we have seen overtakes in the past, as the run out of Graham Hill Bend can be a little bit difficult to get completely right, and if you can get them a little bit offline and threaten with something coming into the Graham Hill Bend, then it could be a chance for you into Surtees. The long run up to Hawthorne overtakes have happened there before, but super risky as it is a very fast corner. Westfield Bend, of course, not known for overtakes. Often when drivers go for it there, they will either lose a ton of time, both of them, or they will end up in the gravel trap next to it. Stirlings, we have seen overtakes in the past as drivers takes Sheens very different. A few different lines through there, depending on how much curb you dare take through Sheens. So Stirlings are corners to look out for as well, and of course Clark Curve. If you mess up Stirlings, then Clark Curve can be an overtake as well. But honestly, the best way to overtake around this track are through pit strategies. We have seen so far this season that the undercut have been very strong and worked out nicely for those who have opted for it. If they go for a 5 to 10 minute undercut on the other drivers as they get out there with fresh tires. And considering how difficult it is to overtake around Brands Hatch, then it might be worth doing. I wish I had something I could ask what their opinions was on this in the comments booth. Oh wait, I think my evil twin is here. Hi. Oh, hello evil twin. What would you do if you were in the situation of the drivers today? Would you go for the undercut or just cut it into two? Taking into account that in this scenario it's keeping dry. That would depend on my race. Undercut I would do only if I need to overtake. If not, cut it in half. Okay, thank you, evil twin. Don't sound so angry all the time. God damn it! Please just leave the room when I'm here. Okay. Anyways, still don't know the weather. Although it did look like now we get to see at least the first half hour of the race will be dry. It is unlikely that it will go from the sun with the small cloud directly into rain. during a race like this. We also haven't had a look on the championship standings yet, as I've been talking way too much during this this break between qualifying and race. Yeah, but here having a good look on the grid and the camber on the start-finish straight. I've been told in the background that it is a bit too late to have a look on the championship standings, but I'll still just do a quick mention of the anomaly in the championship standings, or at least in the AM category. They sort of come in pairs in the AM category so far this season, with the 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and 9 and 10. They are equal on points respectively for the dual positions there. Basically just swapping positions through the 2 first rounds. That is a bit interesting to see what will happen in this one, how that will pan out. Surely they can't all be equal like that after this round of racing. As we are just waiting to get the cars fired up, people are looking over their strategies at the minute, just making sure that everything is all ready and set and done. Making sure their setup are correct. As you can see, the cars that are somewhat lifted are the people who are in the setup menu at the minute. Most people should probably be considering doing that, as you want to drop your car from the jacks as late as possible, as the tire blankets will basically be removed as they drop to the ground. As long as you're in the setup menu, the temperature on the tire are set to the temperature with the blankets on, which I believe is 70 degrees Celsius, of course, on the tires. But as soon as you drop down, the tires will start cooling down, and that's why we see the drivers stay on the jacks as long as they possibly can. But anyways, Prexley in pole position, he will definitely be looking to make the first corner nice and safely on the first lap. Hopefully we won't see too many takeouts in this race and collisions on lap 1. Did see a bit of those last week in the tier 1, though that was in wet conditions as well, and yeah, not many people practice the wet before races, as that's sort of a skill thing. Either you can do it or you can't. It's a little bit difficult to learn, as the cars will start firing up less than 30 seconds until formation lap begins. But look at these cars and look on the camber down Braham Straight. Very, very elevated track, Brands. That's something you have to take into account when you're driving around, as the car will feel very different from one corner to another. As in one corner you'll have the camber to help you out, you'll have the you'll brake uphill, and the next corner you'll brake downhill, slide off camber. Very difficult to control. Time have run out. We'll see them go out on the formation lap very soon. There we go. Rachel Prexley sets off in pole position, just running through the grid again. Wound to win second, Van Dryle third, Pascal Vida 4th, Milan Dumas 5th, De Gaulle 6th, Priatko 7th, Swearing in 8th, Geens 9th, Frank Hub in 10th position, Craig Hill, AM Championship leader, all the way down in 11th, Dimitri Schenk 12th, Schenklins in 13th position, Barloso 14th, Iron van der Linden 15th, Blitzme 16th, Denise Pope 17th, Parker Olsen 18th, 19th will be Steve Parker, Schubin in 20th, Founder Wood in 11th, Bosch in 22nd, Van Dosberg in 23rd, and I think I by accident closed the sheet down so I can't see 24th, but there's a driver on 24th as well. The unknown driver. Anyways, now we see the drivers out here. The movement back and forth. We see the drivers trying to warm up the tires. A slight movement from some drivers from left to right. Not everyone chooses to do that, of course. It's a matter of preference and how you just want everything to get done. Getting the tires into temperature are very difficult on the formation laps, but the brakes are super important for these guys. We'll see that especially when they are lining up in the 2x2 formation, that people will be throttling and braking at the same time to try and heat up those brakes. Close driving here further down the field, as we can really see them bunching up and spreading out. They will very soon get the order to go in double file formation. It happens quite early around Brands Hatch, as it is a short track. So not a lot of time for these drivers to get everything into temperature. good to see the Nissan pole position. Once again, Richard Prixley did have a very dominant win last week on Kota. Not that sure that he can do the same this time around here on Brands Hatch. Very different track from Kota, of course. And he have some very hungry McLarens right behind him. The two AM drivers of Vincent van Dryle. Just quick mention, Prixley out currently second in the silver category, with Andrew Priatko down in 7th position in the start of the race, 5th in silver. He is leading the silver category as they're coming onto the start-finish straight. Every last bit of temperature the drivers are trying to get into the tires and brakes now, as we are basically just waiting for the green flag to be waved. And for the third time this season in the second tier of SSRI, we are very close to be racing! Quick defensive move there from Wins over to Van Dryle. Van Dryle does get the run on Wins. Wins goes off into the gravel. He went. Not that optimum for him. Richard Prixley goes off into the lead. Uncontested, basically. Frank Hub looks like in the Lamborghini up into 3rd position. No, that's Pascal Vita. That's Pascal Vita in 3rd position. He will definitely be looking for a challenge. Big crash there further down. That is Pascal. No, that's not Pascal. No, that is Pascal Vita. That is Vita. I think it was that really Hub all the way up there, or was that a Ferrari that was just misleading my views? A little bit hard to see, but that was Pascal Vita off into the wall after Druids. Very unfortunate for him. Dimitri Schenk there, a bit of contact. Litzman, another driver into the wall. Even though it says one down the bottom next to him, he is not leading the race. I can tell you that much. He is dead last, as he will be coming over the timing line now and drop back. Van Dryle had a great start. No, that was Milan Dumar. The color of that Ferrari I just thought was a Lamborghini. But Jesse Van Dryle are doing a good job so far, keeping up with Richard Prixley. That can be a very tough job to do, as Prixley are super quick. Especially in that Nissan seems to be suiting him quite a lot, driving that wonderful machinery. I know that we are quite a few enjoyers of the Japanese cars out there, at least the Japanese GT3 cars on board with Jesse Van Dryle. Finishing the first lap, we can really see the steering is very different from qualifying for these drivers. They haven't had a lot of time to acclimatize to the heavier fuel loads, as car number 3 is off somewhere on the track. That's after, not Sheens, the one after Sheens, into Druids. Does make a very good double apex. That doesn't look like Prixley is taking too much time out of Van Dryle through these first couple of corners. So big miss there from Van Dryle, not making the apex, using the tiny bit of sort of like screen on the outside of the corner. A few places on the track where we have that, where they can do that. Prixley already have a second lead down to Jesse Van Dryle, but Van Dryle will probably be more concerned about Milan Dumar behind him than he is trying to keep up with Richard Prixley. This could be good for Prixley, of course, as Van Dryle and Prixley are two different classes. Of course, are the overall championship that the drivers still have some sort of competition about, but main thing are the silvers and the apes are two different championships. And for Jesse Van Dryle, he might be wanting to keep Milan Dumar behind him, but that would only be to have a car between him and second place in the AM category. As I believe Chris is trying to find a replay in the background at the minute of some sort of shenanigans, probably on lap 1, which is why we are having so much great onboard footage of the McLaren driver of Jesse Van Dryle. And here we go, replay. This is off the start. We can see the tap there. It sort of looks like a little bit of a movement came from the outside towards the inside, so Van Dryle really without blame there. Just looked like the other McLaren turned into him. Very unfortunate there for him. Maybe we can just see what happens there to Vita. He just gets punted around. And there is a Honda off in the background already in turn 1. That looks even stranger, to be perfectly honest with you guys. But yeah, that is what happened early up front, at least in the race. Don't know what happened to Jenkins down in 15th. He was there. He might just have had a bad start and get caught on the outside of an incident, maybe. Hard to say, really. Still on board Van Dryle. Now we get some outside camera views of the car. It does look like that the gaps are forming up in the front, that they don't meant to stay that close to each other. As we see Prixley, they're really risking the car through the corners. Further down the field, big action here. Andrew Priatko and Bart Swinkling right behind Priatko. Priatko have already gone up to 5th position. Ooh, he went right there, did Bart. But But already, oh, that's a Digore, I think. Feel like behind. Oh yes, it was. That means Piatko is up into to fourth position already, and third in the silver class. He looks to be a driver that wants to challenge Richard Prixley for the win this time around. Further down with Frank Hopp now. I just looked on the timing screens and they were very close, and that's why I thought it was like that. This is Frank Hopp, Digore, and Vaughn wins close together. Maybe we'll see something coming into Druids. Unlikely though. Alternative lines being run there from Rounds of Vince, opting not to be right in the rear end of Frank Hopp. Maybe he's also not battling Frank too much as they are in different classes, but for Vince it is a matter of getting through Hopp as quickly as possible, as Digore and Van Dryle are much further up the field, or not much further for Digore. He can literally see him 2 cars ahead, but further up the field are those 2 drivers in the AM category. Bound to Win's currently third in the race in AM. Good showing for him, of course. Interesting to see if Craig Hill can make some positions in this race. This will be very hurtful for his championship aspirations, at least if he doesn't manage to crawl further up the field in this one. Good look here through scenes. We can see the drivers really taking the curb this time around. We didn't see that too much in qualifying for some reason. There's a little bit of a mistake there from Digore. Went wide after scenes and didn't look to get the best run through the following corner. I keep forgetting the name of that corner. I'm sure the YouTube chat will remind me that it's called Sterling at some point. Or maybe you can just do that a million times during the race. Maybe I'll remember at some point. Pit stops are being taken early. Pascal Vila have been into the pits and come back out on track. Iron van der Linden still in the pits though. He might have chosen to retire already, or he might have big damage, as this is almost a 4-car battle. With I would believe that's Dimitris, no, that's Cohen Geens snatching onto the back of this this group of cars, this train, sort of being the caboose of the train, but not really close enough to take that role as of yet. Train driver, of course, Digore at the minute, as Sverek actually have taken the fastest lap in the race, right behind Priatko further up the field. But these drivers, they are so focused, it's so difficult to make the overtakes. Although he does seem to be coming straight into a replay. This is what happened to Schenklin's. Just being pushed or forced a little bit wide there through the west bend. Although nothing happened really, still maintaining possession into Sterling. He gets pushed through Sterling's. No, goes around, pushed again, and then Constantina effect there. That's what happened to him. Many cars off in the background. Oh, that looked very scary for the drivers who got through that. And another one, just for good measure, gets spun out there out of Sterling. Yeah, this this could be something that could be reported after the race. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how much time the stewards will have to put into the meeting on Thursday. Could be a very busy one for those guys. Of course, as we're back on to the battle between Digore, Frank Hopp, Wouter Wins and Cohen Geens, who just every time we go into Druids, it looks like that he's getting a lot closer, but doesn't get a very good exit there. Different lines are being taken from the drivers. But as I was saying before we cut on to the replays, this is a very difficult track to overtake. You basically have to try and force the driver ahead of you into a mistake, as we have a back marker already. Doing a good job of getting out of the way. It looks like at least letting the first free through. Will he let the next one through as well? Doesn't he? Does. Very good job of the back marker staying out of the intense battling further up the field. But as I was saying, it's very difficult to get the overtaking done cleanly here. You have to sort of be close to the driver ahead, which will hurt your own driving quite a bit, as your car will lose a lot of aero. Trying to force him into a mistake, so he will get a bad exit out of the corner, as Frank Hopp does the exact that and makes the bad exit. Bound to Wins applying the pressure and getting the job done, taking full advantage of that small mistake from Frank Hopp. And that's the thing, you gotta be there when things happen in a race like this. Staying close enough to take advantage of other people's mistakes are key to getting a good result around here if you don't start in the top of the field, basically. Speaking of the field, further down the field we have Schubin, Parties, Schenkelins and Craig Hill. Very close together. Huben doesn't get a good run there. Looks like Parties will try the outside into turn 1 through all this hill bend. He does have the outside line still. He manages to pull it through, but will Huben be compromised? and forced to concede further positions. Doesn't look like it as Partis goes too late. Shubin also late on the brakes. But Partis brakes way too late than Shubin. Also a small mistake that puts them out of this one so far. They can obviously crawl back to the fight. Ahead of them as it's now Shinklins and Craig Hill duking it out for 14th. Further up the field, round to Vince, putting the Gore under pressure now. This is for second in AM. Both in McLarens. The McLarens did seem strong last time out at Kota as well. Good, easy car to drive. That might be why the AM driver seems to like it. The Gore with the mistake there. Bouncer wins on the outside through. Sterling doesn't work. Will he lose to Frank Hopp? Looks like he'll manage. Ooh, car spun there. I've just heard Pinocchio in the back of my head, but I don't think that was what was being said. That was Priatko, I think, Chris. That was being said. Not Pinocchio, of course, but Priatko was spun around there in the lone Mercedes. Very unfortunate for the Silver Championship leader, but he was definitely pushing everything he could to try and catch up to Richard Prixley, who could inherit the championship lead with a result like this. But still up here, another car that's off there. Ooh, getting squirrely on the outside. The Gore and Vaughn wins close to each other. Wins gets a very nice corner there. Have to back out of it. As there wasn't enough room coming out of that corner, but now inside line. Can he get early enough on the front? It looks like he managed, but had to lift off. Tucking into the slipstream. He will surely not be desperate enough to try this. The Gore does take the defensive line. They're both losing a tons of time on this, as Frank Hopp definitely caught up there. And the car behind them will be Cohen Geens, have also caught up to this battle at this point. 4-car battle at the minute for 5th position here in the second tier of the SSRI GT3 Championship. Although I think we should start to be a little bit more like the Americans and call it the World Championship, of course, as they just claim all of their different championships are for no particular reason. Anyways, back to the actual action and not just random mumbling. Frank Hopp and Cohen Geens, Michael DeGore and Vaughn wins. These 4 cars, they will surely be duking it out for a long time. We are still quite a bit out of the estimated pit stop window. It's still early for the undercut. Priatka goes into the pit. That could be damage repairs, which promotes Denise Pope into 10th in the race. Also very good to see her doing well. Used to be one of my bigger rivals in way back when, maybe 3 or 4 years ago in sim racing. DeGore does get a little bit of a gap there as Wins goes wide. He can now start focusing a lot more on his own driving and a lot less about defending the position. Vince also not under pressure, looking back from the roof from the obviously Audi Sports McLaren for unknown reasons, but legendary livery for legendary guys for making these liveries on the DDS racing machines. Good, we can really see the elevation on the track from this camera angle. It's such a good angle. Not that many cars still choosing that inside curb there through Sheens. Interesting that some people do, some people don't. It's a little bit of a preference thing on how much you're willing to risk. You do get a lot of time if you get it just right, but missing it ever so slightly could be a track cut or a violent spin. Onto the Braham Straight, you can really just enjoy the elevation around this track. Really a spectacular track to watch racing, watch the cars go through. It really takes balls of steel keeping control of the cars. As they'll get loose, they'll get tight loose again. Really hard to predict the cars on a track like this. Obviously a lot of practice helps with that, but who have time for that, right? Still with the gaps forming in the bottom right hand, we now get the back view from Vaughn to Vince's car onto Frank Hopp as they are actually closing up to DeGore again. Looks like it that Vaughn to Vince might have more pace than DeGore at the minute. We are still approximately 8 minutes out for the window of the undercut. If Vince doesn't get through DeGore, he might want to try the undercut on DeGore. These cars could obviously also be fueled differently. I think a lot of the drivers have fueled their cars to go very deep in the race, as we still don't know whether further out in the future than 30 minutes, and it still looks to be perfect racing conditions in 30 minutes time, but then there'll still be at least 16 minutes left of the race, plus minus a lap. Well, plus a lap, probably from depending on when Prexley or the at the time race leader crosses the line. As Milan Dumas have moved into second position. Van Dryle lost out there further up the field. I wonder what happened there. I know that our cameraman Chris are very busy in the action trying to find a replay of that at the minute. But now wins right on the tail of Digore. Through Druids we go. Closer than ever it looks like. He does keep the inside there. Digore with the slide. Wins with the slide as well. That could have been the opportunity for Vince, but getting a little bit too greedy on the throttle, trying to get the most out of that. This is the time for Vince to really apply the pressure, try to get Digore way out of his comfort zone, show himself into the corners to force Digore to maybe take a little bit of defensive action on that. I don't know why there's a blue dot on the track map at the minute. Are they invalid laps or back markers or green or something like that? I actually don't know what that means. I know what the yellow means, that's someone who's gone off, but still Vince and Digore is still too intense. This battle between these two drivers, really well matched. Hard to say if they run different setups. One way to easily have a look on whether or not that they are running, at least if they just quickly buy the setups and go racing, that's going on the onboard cameras, as you can still see the electronics on the dashboards within the cars. Not that it helps anyone to guesstimate anything, basically, but yeah, and Milan Dumas snatches fastest lap of the race in the race as well, as he will be trying to close the gap, the gap. What am I talking about? The gap down to Richard Prexley. Although I would hope that he's just doing the dab in the car the entirety of the way around the track. It would be very fun and very. Well, we'll say you have the time to it. Good job here. We have the replay. This is Van Dryle being overtaken by Milan Dumas. Not that looked like he almost just let him through there. They are different class, and the Van Dryle might be thinking more of the AM Championship than the overall at that point. I'll just have a sip of something to drink. I really needed that. Not that you guys out there needed to know that, but hey ho, it is what it is. And we'll see wins in that corner. That was the West Bend, I believe. Using all of the track available. He does use a lot more of the curves. He seems like he knows the track limits a bit better than Digore at this point in time. It could also just be Digore being pressed out of his comfort zone and not really wanting to push for the apexes, risking the position where Wins might be a more the kind of driver who really wants to get the overtake done and be ahead. Obviously that's how racing works, but well, try and stop me from talking for just 5 minutes, it will be impossible. That's Frank Hopp in the background just going slightly wide, as Geens have actually managed to overtake Frank Hopp as well. Maybe Chris will go on that go and try and find the replay of that. He's a busy man in the background tonight, as the second tier racing here in SSRI just keeps on giving. Obviously this isn't the only battle on the track at the minute, but it is the most intriguing so far, as it's for quite good positions. With Geets in the back, then these three are basically battling for second, third and fourth in the AM Championship, as you can really see how Digore doesn't have the same pace, at least on this end of the track, as Vince. It's just very unfortunate for Vince that Digore are hitting the apexes. That makes it very difficult for Vince to get the move done. Replay, here's what happened between Geens and Frank Hopp. Frank Hopp ahead at this point. Is it in Sheens that he makes a mistake? Touches the curb. Oh, spins a little bit. Good save from Frank Hopp, but he does lose out on that position, or gives up the position to Cohen Geens. That's don't touch each other, guys. Don't touch. Digore still leading this battle. I'm just trying to look down in the field, seeing if anything else is happening, as I think Parker and Pope are actually quite close further down, as well as they're heading into Druids as we're speaking. Here we go. Pope ahead of Parker. Parker with a lot of practice, and Pope being a very sensible driver. not known for making mistakes and really being consistent overall. Not the fastest, but super consistency, and that seems to be the thing that often pays off in the second tier races, as mistakes will likely happen from some drivers around you when you go racing. Though Steve Parker is also not a guy that you can wave off anything. Tons and tons of practice. He must know this track like the back of his hand. Oh, well, the front of something else, but that we can't say on the stream. Pope goes slightly wide, though not wide enough to get sort of like dragged onto the grass, as could happen if you go a little bit too wide in that corner. Just managed to keep it in a position where she could maintain track position, keep it on the racing track. But it does mean that Parker are very close to Pope at the minute, right up the rear of that car. Pope moving into slightly defensive into to Clark's corner. Start finish straight. I don't think that Parker is close enough to attempt anything into to the drop of turn 1, the Patakill bend. I always seem to forget it. Get the name of that at least, but very, very close between these drivers as well. Obviously a lot of action further down the field as well, with Wouter van der Woerd, Olsen, Schuben and Blitzma trying to make a comeback in the Honda. They are close together still, and Wouter Wins have made the move on Digore further up the field as well. Blitzma goes into the pits now. That could be for the undercut. It is about time where you can try that. Let's see what happens. Digore in the front of this. Everyone goes wide, at least the front two, but Digore goes way too wide there. And Wins just goes through. This could mean that Geens and Frank Hopp could be looking for the challenge as well later on. A bit wide there from Winston. Exit of that, but he'll just try to make the gap now, so it won't be all lost when they come into the pits at some point. Now Wins can really run his own race and don't think too much of the strategy. Where Steve Parker could probably consider trying the undercut on Denise Pope if you really want to go through her. And I believe that he have more pace to pull it off. Though not this time around. But yeah, difficult to overtake, especially a driver like Denise Pope that will... It's very rare that Denise makes any kinds of mistakes on a racing track. Or at least the bigger ones. Even a small one, this track honestly could lose you the position, but it's very rare to see Denise doing that. Further up the field, back to that what was a four-way battle early on, now down to two cars close together, and Frank just lurking in the background. Cohen, Geens and Digore now battling it out. Yellow flags away further down the field, and that have been Olsen that have gone off. But Cohen, Geens looking for it on Digore, very close together indeed they are. Interesting to see what these guys can do, whether or not that Geens can get it done before the pits. It would be optimal for him. Frank also lurking there. Somewhat equal gaps at the minute, but they will sort of harmonica out and in as they go around the track. Looks like Digore might have been running a too aggressive setup and have some sort of wear on those tires. Or at least it seemed like it, as Geens was very close to him. As Geens are now almost put under pressure by Frank Hopp, this could mean that that Digore would have an opportunity to get away from these two drivers. Olsen and Schuben comes into the pits. Also the undercut there. I think Olsen and Schuben might have were the two guys that came together in near Sheens. And that could be slight damage repair as well. You might as well get it done when you still have the pit stop you have to do. Though those two will not have to pit anymore in this race. Interesting to see if Priatko can mount a comeback with the early pit stop. He will have no traffic for the most of his race, or the most of the remaining of his race. Further up the field, this is Bart Swearing and Jesse Van Dryle. Will Van Dryle just let Swearing go as he almost did with Milan Dumas? Oh, doesn't look like it. It was maybe a little bit of contact there, but Swearing gets the move done, and yeah, Van Dryle doesn't fight it too much. No reason for him to do so, as they are not in the same class, but of course the overall championship is a thing as well, and yeah, we'll have to see if this impacts him anyway, but leading the AM category, that is more important than trying to hold desperately onto to an overall podium, of course. more important for his championship aspirations, attempting to get this win than holding on to the overall. Hop and Giels still close. It's like these, like Hop have been glued into battling for the entirety of the race. Someone came off the pits there. Ooh, a lot of traffic for these guys now. This could be an optimum time to pit to get out of the traffic, though it does seem like there's clear air ahead of them. Now it's only a driver's for position they can see in front of them. That was about to get spicy. So say Craig Hill, championship leader on AM, comes into the pits. So does Pascal Vida. And Barloso seems like to have joined them in the pits, though he could have been retired with the gap that he have up to anyone else. Hard to say, really. As Chris is saying that Pinocchio have already been, but he must be meaning Priatko, and everyone of course knew that out there in the YouTube chat. And yeah, he is just trying to pace himself at the minute. He have a very big gap on the track. He could potentially still be in it for a podium if he paces himself very good, very wisely on the track. Fastly and smoothly, of course. He was in early, Priatko, so interesting to see if his tires will last the entirety of the race, but they just have to last until the other drivers have pitted, so that he can start defending, and yeah, then he'll have taken full advantage of the undercut. Rank up still behind Cohen Geens. That's Priatko actually we see in the background of these two guys as he's a lap down to them. Whether or not that he will be let through, I highly doubt it. He will probably have to fight his way through these guys, hope that they'll come into the pits. Look at the closing speed of Priatko on these drivers. A little bit like day and night, but yeah, Priatko will definitely be out of this one. You don't gain an entire lap of by pitting, or on virtue of the other drivers pitting. So unfortunate for Priatko. We did see him earlier in the race having the spin. So yeah, we'll see what he can do. In the race, he'll be driving to the end at least to try and get as many points as possible for his championship run. It will be difficult, of course, to keep Prixley at bay for the remainder of the season, though next time out will be an interesting one as well. GHRC Iron van der Linden in the Golf liveries, or Golf-inspired Ferrari behind Huben. The lone BMW driver. Big respect for the drivers who pick these, well, the cars that other people don't use or chooses to drive in their respective categories or classes. Oh, and we are back, and as we have been away for a little bit of time, some pit stops have unfolded. I believe Frank Hop and Jesse van Dryle have seen a pit row as we were gone. Cohen Geens as well have seen it. Frank Hop still in the pit, so they chose to come in now. The other drivers did it the lap before. Mountain Vince, of course, as well. He will be overtaking Frank. No issues there. As we are heading on to the halfway point of the race. This would be the optimum time. We will probably see the rest of the drivers coming in shortly to make the optimum tire strategy. They could, of course, run a bit deeper as well. Most of these drivers swearing up to second, pressured by Milan Dumas at the minute up there on the track. Dumas, I think he was second when we had the short break. I honestly can't remember. I do think he was. He must have made some kind of mistake as Swearing are now ahead of him, but ever very so slightly ahead of him. Still very close between them. Prixley with the 8.7 second gap, doing the same thing as he did last time out on Kota, just pacing himself out in front. Not the most fun of races, but a win is a win, of course. Schenklins and Dimitri Pope comes in. Schenklins and Denise Pope comes into the pit. We can call her Dimitri if we want to. Who's to stop me doing that, of course? But Milan Dumas, he is looking very racy with Swearing here. He might be trying to do the opposite of Swearing. If Swearing stays on track, he might be jumping into the pits. A little bit of a mistake there through scenes from Swearing. Does give Milan a very slight chance. Doesn't seem to be paying out. For him, both cars wide on the exit there. Through Sterling. Clark Curve, anyone taking the pit stop? Looks like it. Looks like that Swearing comes into the pits. Milan Dumas now have to put his foot down and try to get it done on a pure pace out on track. Getting the overtake done and retaking second in the race. Still the 8-second gap, half the race to go basically. It is possible for him to close down on Prexley, as we do get a replay here of what happened to Dumas while we were away. A little bit wide there, no issues. Difficult corner coming up. Just missing the braking point ever so slightly, and then the car goes into a tiny spin. Coming back on the track. Good driving there from the Ferrari driver of Swearing to avoid it. But that's what happened while we were away. Dumas making a slight mistake. Maybe he's pushing a bit too hard to catch up to Prexley. I would do the same if I was in his shoes. Gap is coming down between Prexley and Dumas, though Prexley are probably just controlling it out in front. Setting the pace after what he knows is safe for him to do. No reason for Prexley to push it for extra lap time at this point. The leading car of those who have been to the pits are Swearing, who... oh, that's because he is in the pit. No, he is back on track. Leading car of the drivers who have pitted would be Swearing in 6th position. Priatko still down in 13th as the race stands at the minute, and out behind Denise Pope. Now it's basically Pope times Steve Parker. Actually got the move done there in the pits on Pope by quite a reasonable margin, it looks like. 6.3 seconds. Pope must have taken some damage repairs in that pit, or missed the box completely and had to slow down, or get the push back. Priatko inside there on Denise Pope. Denise doesn't fight it too hard, as she knows that Priatko have massive pace and would be a stretch to try and defend it for 27 minutes. Richard Prexley comes into the pits. Milan Dumas seems to be staying out on track, or he did stay out on track, it looked like, but Richard Prexley in the 7 machinery, I know a number that Chris Hill likes himself. It used to be a number that he raced in the way back when. For some reason, I don't know who's daring to call me at this late hour on my phone. I'll just basically do a pick it up later kind of thing when the race is done. Milan Dumas inherits the lead. Whether it will be permanently, we'll have to wait and see. Really have to push everything he can to maintain position. Swearing out there on fresh sets of rubber. He comes into the pits, or sleeker sets of tires, or whatever they say in America. But we are not there, so we don't need to think about that. But interesting to see what they will do further on. Parker up here, he is not that far away from Greg Hill, 1.9 seconds between them. I'm not saying that they are close either, but not too big of a gap. It's not impossible for Parker to catch up to Craig in this race. Dimitri Schenk joins Milan Dumas in the pits. So does Partis. Our Polish friend, Mupata to you, my friend. Steve Parker still lost a bit of time there to Craig. Seeing in the YouTube chat that Denise might have had a little bit of an incident before the pits. Unusual mistake for Denise. Normally very consistent driver, making very few of those. So do mark the date down in your calendar that this was the day where it happened. Unless she was taken out by someone else, then it's of course a different story. That does seem to be a problem for quite a few drivers. One of the most famous incident. Ooh, Parker! Don't risk it that much. One of the most famous incident magnets that we have in the community would be Bas van Melis, who seems to be collected every single race. It's never really his fault. He's just on the wrong place on the wrong time. Very unfortunate for him. Of course, but it is what it is. Here's a little bit of a replay of what happened to Denise. Let's see if it could be someone coming out the pits that gets in the way. It looks like she's a bit off set by the driver ahead and does a big slide there through Paddock Hill bend. Very unfortunate for her. The Porsche could have a tendency to do that. The Galway into the pits. Gap have increased between Prexley and Dumas to 7. Oh, it's decreased to 7 seconds. It was above 8, 8.9 at the largest. So Dumas really putting the hammer down. Last time round, Prexley did his new personal best and fastest lap of the race, so he is responding to it on his fresh tires. Interesting to see if Dumas can respond anytime soon. He's still trying to get his tires into to full operational temperatures and pressures. And this is not over, ladies and gentlemen. Just takes a mistake from Prexley, and then it's all wide open after that if it happens. But let's not put any kind of commentator's curse on Richard Prexley. He's doing such a good job. He would obviously never just drive slightly wide through the next couple of corners and let Milan Dumas catch up to him. It would be highly unlikely. Not enough. I am trying to use all the Black Voodoo magic of the commentators to get this race interesting once again, but further down the field the GHRC cars are battling. I did see another one popping up on my battle screen with Digore and Geens, but this one is great. The two cars almost formation driving by the two different lines there, who a little bit too much of a cut there from Iron van der Linden, as that unsettled that Ferrari quite a bit. And then it gets really hard to make Sterling when you mess up Sheens. Sheens, that's the new name of the corner. You have to get the in there, otherwise it's not the correct corner. That could be anything else. But good to see the two Golf livery cars, also good liveries on those machines, bringing out the classic racing colors of a few of Golf racing, of course, but a few different teams in the history have run the Golf colors with that sponsor. Last time we saw it in full action was of course the McLaren Formula 1 team, as he seems like Van der Linden, let's say, faster car through. I didn't see the number on that white Ferrari. I could have been swearing. Yeah, it must have been, because that's bound to wins behind. At the minute, the Sim Racing Holland driver in between the two Golf liveried Ferraris. The hardest mouthful, as the gap between Prexley and Dumas now widened again to 9.5 seconds. Prexley really putting the foot down at the minute, showing that he is top driver in this class, or in this tier. To be honest, it will be his second win in a row if he keeps it going. Takes it to the end. Not the greatest of showing first time out. That was with the old LFM Bob and the Nissan on Paul Ricard. I also don't know if that's a good track for the car. Might not be. Swinkling goes nicely through. Maybe at some point in the race we'll get some on boards with Prexley, so we can have a look on his steering inputs maybe, and see how he goes around, as there's a yellow flag in Sterling. At the minute I'm just trying to see who that is. Didn't catch it up in time. But here we go on board with Richard Prexley, as my prayers have been heard in the background. Usually we see the top drivers being so smooth on the steering and no sudden movements of the wheel. Let's see if that's the case for Prexley as well. Turn in nice and smooth. No, nothing there though. These are the corners where stuff could happen with steering inputs. Not too much to note there. Doing good job of keeping the car under control. Looks like the back end actually stepped out for him a little bit there through Sterling, but not enough to upset him anyway, and kept full control of it while doing so. But just notice this style studio of Prexley's driving. So smooth on the steering, using all the track and a little bit extra there. That wasn't planned for him, of course. And let's get back to the style studio of Prexley and to showcase everyone how smooth you're driving this car. Looks like Prexley went wide again, really pushing the car. At this point, gap is also up to 10 seconds between him and Dumas. Roads he went. Just on the curbs, inside, outside, then taking it once again. Back end a little bit there again. But that's the thing, sometimes you just have to push the car, and some cars like to be driven that way, that it seems to be a little bit faster, helps rotation-wise to get that end out. But not that good for tire wear, of course. That could become a factor later on, but with a 10-second lead and only 20 minutes to go off the race, It would be difficult for anyone to catch up to Prexley Van Dryle in the YouTube chat. I really hate him at the moment. He got a disconnect, unfortunate, from Jesse Van Dryle, who was having such a good race before that. I was wondering where he went on the timing boards. That is such a shame. I hope you'll be back next week, Jesse. That was one hell of a performance until that point. And we'll probably also think we'll have a replay of what happened to Huben as he have dropped a little bit. This is what happened to the lone BMW driver. It looks like it's through Sheens. No. Through the other one with S. Sterling, he just drops it on the inside. With the amount of cam on that corner, when all the weight shifts in the car, that the rear does have a tendency to get loose, and it looks like that's it. That's what happened for Huben. They are very unfortunate. Cohen Geen still doing a good job. He's actually catching back up to De Gore. Those have been fighting earlier, and Frank Hopp also getting through De Gore at some point in the race. Though big gap between him and Wins. Round to Wins, of course. But De Gore just does seem to struggle a little bit. He was helped a lot with a great qualifying performance from him, but he's under heavy pressure once again in the race. This time by Geens. Have been under pressure from Geens before the race. Look at that. Greg Hill also on quite the recovery drive, up into 8th position in the race at the minute, and 4th in the AM class. Not losing as many points as it looked like earlier in the race for him. Not the greatest of qualifying, and did struggle a bit getting through the field and through the pack. Also not an easy task, of course, around this track, but have done a good job of it. All about keeping that car clean and out of trouble. The helicopter really struggles, or maybe it's a drone in these days. Chris could probably tell me that, whether or not that it's a helicopter drone that we are on board with at the minute. I hope it's a helicopter to keep the virtual jobs going. It's Cohen Geens doing a good job on the... it is confirmed that it is a helicam, that they have virtual helicopters flying over the track, and it's not just some small drone that could be pushed away. People out there in the YouTube chat, anyone that you have found particularly impressive in this race, and if anyone says Richard Prexley, it's too easy to say that name. Maybe put some thought into it and give me an answer to who you have found the most impressive during this race. As further down the field, Parties on the outside of Steve Parker, I think that is, in the Ferrari ahead of him. This could be interesting. I don't think that Parker will just hand this over, even though it's not for class position. It's always an honorable thing keeping a top 10 in a race. Bartis does seem to have a ton of pace, but Parker does know this track very well and will know where to put the car. Though this time Bartis gets a very good run here through the drop he goes. Does force Parker to the inside there a little bit. Both losing time on that thread of a move, but here we go into the next. He could try it. He doesn't. He backs out very wisely, choosing to live over putting into Parker's hands. Big difference in braking there. Ooh, Parker gets loose. That's well held by the Ferrari driver. But Parties and Steve Parker. This could be a long one, as Parker are very stable as well, usually in his driving. So it could be hard for Parties to get the move done. It's also a bit unfortunate that I haven't had many chances to say Dinkeldell in this race. That's the greatest name around, the greatest corner name or straight name in the world, or one of them at least. So next time we get there, then I will have to remember to say the name. Ooh, and battling further down the field, Frank Hopp and Geens are at it again. Geens must have made some kind of mistake, as he have dropped from De Gore. Wonder if Frank Hopp can do it, as now they're coming into Dinkeldell. That's Dinkeldell they're at now. That's Dinkeldell in the bottom corner. I'll try and say it when the top guys get there as well, as Party is still looking for the move on Steve Parker. Parker and the red Ferrari, Parties and the much blacker Ferrari in the background. You can actually get a very nice all red Ferrari. That's Dinkeldale, that one. Actually get a very nice red color on the Ferraris that will give them this old Formula 1 look, but without sponsors, in just a regular customization of the cars. Not doing the full custom liveries, as this could be Parties' chance. Though Parker just seemed to get a tiny bit of extra speed coming out that corner. That was just enough to keep Parties behind as Parker goes deep into the corner. Parties gets through in Clark corner there onto the Braham Straight, sorry, Braham Straight of course. Parties says, thank you very much, good sir, I'll have this one. Now Parties will have to chase down Dimitri Schenk to take another position in the race and move himself up into 9th, 10th at the minute for Parties. And what would that be? That would be like 6th, I believe, in the 6th in the silver category, with 4 aims ahead of him as well. I don't think Steve Parker is willing to just sit behind and give it up. He will try to stay with Parties. It is a tough ask to stay close to Parties, as he's a very quick driver, but if Parker can manage to do so and maybe get dragged up to Schenk, it could be advantageous for him. As he's doing a good job up in the front. Richard Prixley, who have just once again dominated a race. We probably want to put some sort of restrictors on his car or add a ton of weight into it next time out to try and stop him from doing this sort of thing. Although he will have to try and navigate that massive Nissan around Mount Panorama in 2 weeks time when we go racing there. The Australian race of the season. One of my personal favorites. I'm not particularly good at the track myself. It's a little bit too hard to drive for my liking, but I do enjoy going around there. Not the best results though. Ooh, Prixley. You're pushing it too much, my friend. Interesting to see if the Nissan can perform well at Mount Panorama. A track that driving style wise, even though this track and Mount Panorama are vastly different, it's sort of the same thing you have to be good at. Keep your laps consistent, know the track, and do not for the love of God get wheels on the outside of the white lines. That can, on Mount Panorama, Paisley goes wide there, he's still pushing. On Mount Panorama, if you go outside the white lines, at least through the mountain section, then there will be a wall ready to take care of you on the outside of the track. Sort of the same thing here. Not as there's not a wall very close to you, but in a lot of the corners, if you go wide there's a very big chance that you will get sort of just dragged by the grass, almost demon dragged towards a wall, and you'll end up there. So consistent driving once again will be key when we go racing in 2 weeks time in the Tier 2. Obviously Tier 1s will go race there next week. And if you can't get enough of racing, then oh boy do I have good news for you. This week we'll of course have the second round of the SSRI Endurance Championship. As they're battling once again with Gein's Frank Hub and a back marker car. Frank and Geins have been at it for quite some time and a lot of times in race, but we will be going racing this weekend in the SSRI with the second race of the Endurance Championship. Everything is still up for grabs there, championship wise. We'll be racing on Valencia. Tune in at about 12 or 1-ish, half 11-ish UK time. Apparently, I think I'm being whispered in my ears for that one. It will be a great spectacle of a race. 6 hours off Valencia. Almost a sprint race for the endurance drivers, that one. But nevertheless, track cuts will be a thing to watch for there. The pace differences, a lot of cars, and also a kind of a short track Valencia actually is. There are the big long main straight, but very compact the rest of the track. Traffic and managing back markers and lapping cars will be key to victory in that race, and of course keeping the car clean and staying away from track cut warnings. Pit lane also a little bit tricky, and Valencia, as you're coming in with quite a bit of speed, and it can be difficult to gauge the braking into the pit lane on that track. Interesting to see. what will happen there, but if you want to know, you'll just have to tune in this week on the SSRI channel. It's a good idea to remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and also hit the bell. For some reason when you do YouTube you have to say that, so please do so. Well, don't really care about the likes, but hit the subscribe and bell button if you want to see the race in the weekend. Then you'll definitely be notified about it. Oh well, I've just been told we do care about likes because this is YouTube, so apparently like. Do it all actually. Still with the great back view from Cohen Geens' car. Not that many laps to go. Geens will just have to keep hitting the apexes, and I think that he will take the third position in the AM category, the final step on the podium. Oh, well, he will probably definitely do that, as Craig Hill will be the next one to challenge for that, and he is like 14 seconds behind at this point. But he could hold on to, he will hold on to 6th if he just manages to do so. Parties have already caught up to Dimitri Schenk, really up the rear there, almost touching the wing of that car. On the outside, Parties goes other way around than he tried it on Parker. Dimitri Schenk keeping the inside line there, smart move, as it looked like that Parties was looking for the cutback, but this time Parties are on sort of kinda almost on the inside line through a Paddock Hill bend. Keeps it on the inside into Druids. This should be done and dusted. No, he backs out of it. I would probably have gone for that one. Dimitri Schenk, a very wise driver there, also leaving the room if Parties would have gone for it. He'll just have to wait, as that could be a position over for Dimitri Schenk going wide. There's still no drive-throughs in this race, just as expected before the race started. Dimitri Schenk just doing enough there to keep Parties behind him. Schenk really, yeah, I wonder how much Schenk is willing to defend this one to try and maintain the 10th position in the race. Oh, sorry, 9th position in the race, 5th in class, in the silver class. If he'll fight it to the death, or if he will, if Parties gets a very good run, that he'll just let him have it. 6.5 minutes to go in the race, plus the 1 lap that Prixley will be on at the time when the timer runs out. Though with a 12-second gap, then he can probably get into a point where he can decide himself whether or not that he wants to take the extra lap or not. Someone in the YouTube can probably do the maths and tell me if that will be the case, finding Prixley on the track and figuring out. Ooh, big slide there, Parties. Risks it all for the chocolate business. Whoop, don't go onto the track. Oh my god, Parties, that could have ended in tears. Good job from Parker there, seeing that and managing to react to it in time. Oh, Parties. All of your good driving so far this evening or afternoon in the race, or at least in the game, that have become undone by that small mistake. Unfortunate from the Polish driver. He will have to really push now to get back into some position. In the back of the field, a driver that we haven't seen that much on stream this day. Normally we try to get everyone some screen time. Joey van Dosberg, car number 3, is doing a good job just keeping the car running. It's always good practice to just stay alive in the races. You never know what happens, and we have seen a few retirements in this one. So yeah, that have promoted him a few positions, the retirement so far, and just keeping it going. He will have the experience for the next time out, and he can try and improve on his driving for the next race, or maybe have become unlucky and got taken out in an instant. That is a little bit hard to say, honestly. But yeah, we'll have to see. That was not the smartest thing to do, going onto the grass in a straight line. Wonder if he's touching the MFD or something there, trying to. That's something that I do a lot when I touch the MFD. Then I will lose a lot of time on that lap. More often than not, I will find myself kissing some grass at some point while doing it, even on the straights. So yeah, that's just all in all decent job staying alive. Also, this could be used as practice for endurance. I do actually believe that he is running a McLaren in endurance as well, and having the traffic going through and figuring out how to do that. It's obviously a vastly different track that the drivers will be taking on in this weekend's endurance race. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and and see. But I do believe that he's driving the McLaren there, and just driving in the traffic is good practice for any driver, anywhere on the grid really. As these drivers, even if they finish further down the field and are not battling for severe positions in endurance races, just finishing the races are a big deal for a lot of teams. I remember when I was on a team where that was basically the goal every time, just finishing the race, and if we could sneak a top 25, then that was a very successful afternoon of racing. That's not how it is anymore on the Untalented Motorsports team though. Hubin in 18th position in the BMW. We have seen him being involved in a few things this evening of racing, but good to see the mighty M4. He's about to be lapped by Prixley, as we can just see Prixley in the background. Once in a while in the shots in the mighty Nissan, the black and pink machinery. Other things that are black and pink, you can think about that in the YouTube chat, but don't write it down as we don't want to get demonetized, please. Hubin, yeah, staying alive again. Unfortunate that we haven't seen him further up the pecking order, as it haven't seemed like any of the things that he've been involved in really have been at fault of his, as per se. So a bit unfortunate race from him. In 18th position in the 99 machinery. Apex Lovers Motorsport, of course. Good run from him elsewise. Jumping a little bit further up, the racing in the sausage end in the silver category. Oh, that might not be an English saying. That might be way too Danish translated. Hey-oh, anyways. The racing in the sausage end of the silver category. The mighty Honda of Valencia Blitzman. Difficult car to drive, especially on a track like this. We did see him off in a very strange place on lap 1. Wonder if there had been any kind of context there. He just managed to spin it on his own into that big grass patch on the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. But anyways, good to see the Hondas out on track. 2 Hondas selected in SSRI in this sprint championship season. One in tier 1 by John Beton, and then the one here from Valencia Blitzman. I wonder if they exchange setups and maybe have a drink while discussing how terrible the Honda is and how sad their lives have become after choosing it. I'm actually driving the Honda myself in another community in a 2.4 championship there that runs on Sundays. And that's why I know it's a disgusting, terrible car to drive. Can be pretty quick with around quite a few tracks, but on other tracks it is just not fun. Going one step up, still a battle here. We've missed completely out on this battle. It's a battle of the 2 lone Porsches, both in pink, both with pink on their cars. Shinglins and Pope. This will be going to the line, this battle. It seems like, unless something interesting happens, they will have. I'm just trying to figure out where Prixley is on track. He's up there. Can he make it back down to the line in 35 seconds? Denise Pope there gets a little bit unsettled with the back marker ahead. Looks like that she could have been uncertain of what the back marker was doing, as that car was moving very slow there through Sheens. Pope off into the grass for the second time in the race. But that means that Shinglins have come up into 13th position. And Prixley can now, he basically chooses himself if he wants the extra lap or not. As he does seem to want it, as he crosses the line there, just like last week with a crossing of the line very close to the timer. Prixley on the final lap, he can just do parade driving, or don't do anything stupid. Prixley just bring it home for the love of God and everything else. If you're an atheist, then the lack of love of God, of course. Here we go. Final lap. Richard Prixley, great drive. Once again dominant from start to finish. Haven't really been into any kind of battling. A little bit of a shame, as we do want to see this Nissan in a close wheel-to-wheel action. Haven't seen that since Paul Ricard round 1 of the championship. doing somewhat of a... Yeah, he's just playing it safe at this point. You can see it on the car. It's actually the front speedometer the Nissan have on this particular dashboard setting. The red thing on the screen is not RPM. That's actually the speedometer that will tell you how fast he is going. But yeah, you can see with his... I was just saying that he was keeping it somewhat safe, but that looked very unsafe. But yeah, one corner to go from Richard Prexley. He will take the flag. Denise Pope actually just further up this the straight in the other Wild Things racing car, almost lapping the teammate of Denise Pope. But what a drive from Richard Prexley, races over for him. Superb drive, great win. And once again, very nice car. P2 in the race, Milan Dumas also doing good race, a bit of moving up in the field for Milan Dumas and having the fast lap from at some points in the race. Great job from him. Bart Swearing rounds up out the top 3 on the podium, and the silver class. In the AM category, Bouncer wins, finishes first and wins the AM. 4th overall, DeGore 5th overall, Cohen-Skeen 6th overall, and that's also your podium in the AM. 3 McLarens there. Frank Hobbs 7th position, just missing out on the podium in the silvers. 8th position will probably now former championship leader Craig Hill, though minimizing point losses here, coming in 4th position. Didn't look like that he could manage that earlier in the race. Great drive from Hill. Schenk 9th place. Ooh, close here. Steve Parker and Parties. Parker keeps it with less than a 10th of a second. Good hunting there from Parties in 11th. Andrew Priotko's disappointing race from him. Did lead the silver championship before this race, so it's very safe to say that Richard Prexley will take over that place. As Denise Pope was the last person to cross the line. Didn't get the full rundown of that. Wow, what an interesting race we had this evening. Great battles, especially before the pit stop rounds came in. There's just something magical about racing when it happens like this. Wouldn't you say, Evil Twin?
Yes, best kind of racing are when they go close together.
Oh, you're back, Evil Twin. Very nice to see you. How did you find the race? I personally think that it was very interesting. A few different strategies and some mistakes around the pit stops that maybe spread the field out a little bit too much in the last half of the race. But how did you see it?
Interesting. Very good racing.
Okay. Short and quick answers. That's what the people out there apparently likes to hear, as we get some highlights running in the background. This is what happened in turn 1 for the Audi machinery. Oh, the Audi looking machinery. I don't know if we can see in the background. No, we didn't. Oh, that must have been between one of the golf cars and the Honda. That probably is what happened back there. But all in all, decent drive from the drivers. Nothing too extreme, nothing too safe. As we are joined by Bouncer Vince in the commentary booth. Good to see you in here, Bouncer, and congratulations on winning the AM category.
Good evening. Yeah, thanks. It's good to be here. Glad with the first place. Though I don't know what happened with Jesse Van Driel because we had it coming together.
He had a very unfortunate disconnect in the later stages of the race.
Ouch. Yeah, that's not the first time that's happened to him, so that's a shame. Yeah, when I came out of the pits, I was thinking I can keep pushing, but first in class will never happen. And then suddenly, I noticed I was 4th, and I didn't see Jesse on the board, so that's a shame.
Yeah, we saw you also in times of the race having the silver class driver. Or was you? I think it was you. Having the silver class drivers coming up, catching you and just letting them through. Was that planned or?
I can't remember. I'm letting through silver drivers, really.
Then it must have been one of the other. That sure it was you.
I overtook some silver drivers that I remember, but
that could have been Van Driel actually thinking about it. But yeah, also 4th in class, or 4th overall. Are you starting to look on the overall championship as well as the AM championship for maybe getting into a decent position there?
Yeah, if someone would have told me, say 2 months ago, or even half a year ago that one day I would end up top 5 overall at SSRI, I would have told you were crazy or something like that. But
I know
yeah,
that feeling very well, to be perfectly honest with you.
I can imagine. Yeah, already during qualifying, when I was so close to Richard Pixley, it was a 10th, I think, and there was even a possibility to be faster, but I messed up, so I didn't know what was happening. All the silver drivers were a tad sick today, or I don't know. It's crazy, but I'm happy.
It's hard to say really, but once again, congratulations on finishing on the podium. Just before we let you go, I'm not going to ask you some weird question this time around.
Oh wow.
But
shoot.
Yeah, unfortunate. Anything particular, any takeouts from the race that you particularly thought that you did well in this one?
Well, the fighting, close fighting, first with Frank Hopp and then with Michael de Gore. Although I did punt him slightly in Druid, I think, at a certain moment, which helped me overtake him. So I apologize to him about that. But yeah, I think the close racing was really good, and also keeping the car in control, not overdriving the car. So yeah, happy with that.
Did you just try and keep it safe around? I must ask, because trying this last week as well in the McLaren, did you just try to keep it safe around the track and not murder the curbs too much around there, or did you risk it?
Yeah, something in between. I sometimes went full curb, but in the practice sessions, at a certain moment I lost so much PSI that I ended up on the right rear 25.6. So that wasn't something I really wanted in the race. So a bit in between. Sometimes I took it careful, and sometimes I went full on. So
that's great. Do you think that Germany was a disappointment in the handball world championship?
Oh, no doubt. I think each and every time they lose, they are disappointed.
Well, of course they are, as we are joined in the commentary booth by another, I believe, a podium placer in the AM category, Cohen Geens. Congratulations, I believe, third in class.
Yeah. Cohen. It's great. Oh, yeah,
that's your name.
The cow is here. That was Cohen was Danish for cow, no? Something like that. Yeah. See,
actually, it not just be cow, it'd be the cow.
Ah, the cow. Okay. Yeah. Third. Yes. Great race.
We saw you a lot on the stream tonight. We saw you engaged in a lot of battles throughout the race. Any of them that you particularly enjoyed?
Enjoyed what?
Battling.
Paddling? What? Okay, you have to inform me what paddling is. I'm a noob, you know?
Having a fight, a battle.
Battling!
Driving close with another driver attempting to overtake.
I thought you said paddling. I thought we were playing ping pong or something.
No. Ping pong afterwards if you want to.
No, great battles. My teammates for a second there. And then with Frank Hopp, De Gore, who ended second in our class. Yeah, it was great, actually. Yeah. I screwed up my qualifying like usual. So yeah.
Do you reckon that you managed to get the right pit call and strategy? Also, a question for both of you before we leave. Before the race, there was a chance of it would rain during this one. Did you fuel for to go like 45 minutes in the race in case there was a late rain?
No.
Nope. ACC Drive said it would stay dry, so
nope. I can
just half, taking the risk.
Yep.
That's unfortunate. I was hoping that someone would do the other thing, but apparently everyone is running ACC Drive in these days.
Yeah, it's quite helpful.
Yeah.
I bought it, but I'm not using it.
I also have it, but I'm not using it, as that's sort of the... I think it's the cause of many of my disconnects personally. Stresses my PC way too much, as it's already on a 100% CPU usage when we do these streams.
Yeah. All those extra layovers distract me, actually. So
you can turn them off, so you only have one. But I have the same. I have a extra dashboard on top of my wheelbase where I have the things that I want, and then everything else just turned on when I race. no PSI things in the bottom corner, no
Nah.
mysterious HUD, no the relatives are sometimes have up. I can change that while driving. The lap times I don't have up on the screen as well. It's I want to keep it clean, you know.
Yep. Me too.
It just feels the best. We all know that it was a risky track around Brands Hatch, but Cohen, how did you do the race? Full send or playing it safe with the curbs?
No, I just like I practiced. I drove my race, not taking too many risks, of course, because yeah, when you actually miss here, it's race over. So yeah, I kept it fairly clean, I think, and made no mistakes. Not that I can recall. So that was pretty good driving, if I say so myself. for my ability, anyhow.
I would also say that's the optimal thing. But before we move on to the next two guys waiting in the outdoor shed in the pouring rain, two quick questions for both of you. Are you racing the endurance in the weekend, and what are you hoping in that one?
No. We forgot. Yeah, we drive together, so we've pretty much forgot about it, and we didn't plan it. And well, I got a nephew's whose birthday on Saturday, so sadly, and still I have to drive 1 meter on at Valencia, so maybe it's for the better.
No, you should definitely be there. Second quick question. Then 2 weeks from now we'll go to Mount Panorama.
Oh yeah.
Also a bit of a difficult track.
No.
Do you guys reckon you can get the McLarens back up into the podium positions?
And,
Difficult.
That will be very, very hard, I think. For me, at least. I'm not very. I haven't driven a lot of laps there, and it's not my cup of tea, actually. That circuit.
I think it will come down to he who touches least the wall will end up first, but who that will be, not sure.
Well, there's only one thing to say about that. Tune in 2 weeks' time to watch the Tier 2 guys go racing full send at Mount Panorama. As we have been joined in the booth by Frank Hopp, 4th place in silver class today, I believe, and Milan Dumas, 2nd place overall in the race. If I'm not mistaking too much.
Evening.
Good evening. Question for you, Milan. First and foremost, congratulations on the good result. It did look like that you were catching up on Richard Prixley at some points in the race, but and a bit of a good drive from you. You didn't start that far up the grid. How did you manage to steal 2nd place?
I don't know. It was a big surprise, actually.
Just having the pace. We did see a slight unfortunate situation in the race with you once, I believe it was, where there was a little bit of a slide on time loss.
Oh yeah, you weren't supposed to see that.
Oh, we see everything.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, but
I think I lost the position because of that, but I got it back after the pit stops. So
you definitely lost the position after that. Yes. No, can you put a few words on your race this evening? What did you do in specific that you think works so well for you?
I don't know really, because at some point I think I had the pace, but I was way too inconsistent to catch up with Richard. He was really fast and consistent. He didn't make much mistakes, I think. Some corners I really felt what to do with the car, and some corners I just went deep everywhere and oversteered, understeered. But yeah, I was surprised by the results due to a lack of practice, and yeah, I don't really know the track that well, but it worked out.
Yeah, it's sort of like a pace track. Once you get into a rhythm track, once you get into the rhythm, it's just about staying there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice track to drive. It's just you need some practice.
I will definitely agree. I know that you missed a race this season, Milan, but do you reckon that you still have a chance of at least fighting for top 3 in the championship? I don't think you were.
I thought we had a drop round, but
not this season, unfortunately. I thought that too.
Yeah, I was misinformed by myself.
Yeah, it was actually written in the announcements, but who reads those, right? But that's basically 2 second places for you this season, and with the results elsewise tonight, you're not that far off of top 3 anyways after Brent's Hedge. Do you reckon that you can keep up with the other guys, maybe fight for P2, maybe even P1, the championship with Mount Panorama and Valencia left on the calendar?
Mount Panorama, yeah, I really like the track. I think I'm decently fast there. And I think Valencia is the last one.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I also like that one. So, gonna be a good finish.
Yeah, will you be getting practice at Valencia this weekend, maybe?
Yes, definitely. I'm driving as much as possible.
Very nicely, and again, congratulations on the result. We also have another guy in this very small and crowded shed. Of course, you have Chris Hill in the background, just lurking in through a small peek hole. But we have Frank Hopp in the booth as well. Frank, you were involved in a lot of battling during this race, to be honest. We saw a lot of you on the stream, good driving overall. Maybe the Lambo didn't have the pace like of the McLarens this time around?
No, I don't think I had the pace, but I also made, I think, 3 mistakes in total where I just was really happy to still be on track and not bin it. So had some good fun with Koen and Wouter and what's his name, Michael Agora or something his name is, I think.
Digore,
So-
at least I choose to call him.
Yeah,
Call
so
him anymore, of course.
so yeah, just had some really good fun. I was a bit surprised because I had a really good qualifying. That was better, the best time I've ever driven. And then during the first stint, I was sort of just hanging on and really saving my tires. I wasn't sliding as much as I did in all the practices, and just kept the tires alive, so I could sort of easily keep up. And then I didn't have a really good pit stop because I sort of missed the box for a bit, and I thought, okay, well, the guys that because Koen and Michael were just in front of me, I think, before they went into the pits. So I thought, okay, that's I'll be way back, and it's fine, and we'll see. And then I was in front of them after the pit stop, which was a surprise. So I don't know how they messed up, but yeah, and then
had even worse pit stops.
Probably, yeah. And then yeah, had just a fun race. I was sort of consistent, except for the 3 sort of near crashes. But yeah, I had some real good fun. So.
But if you keep missing your pit stops, Frank, then here's how I always do when I do practice for races. When I finish a stint or a practice run, then I'll always drive it into the pits, and then I'll have a strategy in my MFD that's just no tires, 1 liter. And then once in a while I'll just do a few laps, go in, take that stop to practice the braking markers for when to stop exactly and get it going again.
Yeah, getting in the pit stop was fine.
you need to do this and not missing your braking points or the stop point for the stop itself. And then you'll be all sorted. Then you could have had so many positions instead of being humiliated by AM drivers.
Yeah, but I've humiliated people before as an AM, so it's all good and fun and play.
Yeah, we did see you do that last season as well, having having good results.
Yeah, but it's just been really good fun, and I really enjoyed myself today. So I wasn't expecting such a fun race on Brent's because I don't feel I'm that good at it. But still a really good result for me. So
well, that's the thing. I don't think many people feel like they're good on Brent's Hedge, but when enough people don't feel like that, then some of the people that don't feel good at it will become good.
Might be the case. No, but yeah, thanks anyway. Also again for the broadcasting, of course. It's a good and fun job. So
we are absolutely not done with you yet, Frank. What do you think?
No,
honestly,
one of the things I was sort of wondering though is because last week I prayed for rain, and I was wondering if and that happened. So did you pray as well?
I might have prayed a little bit for rain.
I was so happy it wasn't there because I didn't practice it.
Also tried to put the commentator's cursor on Richard Priestley, but apparently it didn't work. But Frank, 2 rounds to go in the championship. Mount Panorama and Valencia. Do you reckon that you can mount some good results there and go for good results in the championship? Well, maybe top 3, top 5?
I kind of like Mount Panorama, but that's always sort of I managed to sort of bin it there quite a bit. I've done races there where I've just crashed and just be involved in accidents that happen on that uphill track. So not quite sure what to expect. I must have expected here to be crashed as well. I came out of the first lap without any damage, and I was really surprised. So hopefully something like that happens in Bathurst. But should be really good fun. I think it's a fun track. So let's see how it goes. And Valencia, I can't hardly remember when was the last time I've driven that track. It's just been, I think I've done a GT4 race like 1.5 years ago or so there. I don't know. So can't really say much about that track.
I don't think the track have been in the game for more than 8 months, but yes, let's just say 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I think I've driven it when it came out, and I think it was one of the tracks in the GT4 Championship, and I've never driven it since. So
I think it came out with the Ferrari, the 2.9,
yeah,
whatever,
but yeah,
the
true, yeah.
Evo, Lambo, and whatever. That doesn't really matter, Frank. I assume that you're not racing the 6 hour this weekend then.
No, I'm not.
No, and then final question for all of you here before we go. If you were a woman, would you then reckon that you could have dated Jeffrey Dahmer?
Definitely.
Oh yes.
If you were a donkey, you probably could have dated him, right?
I don't know. Yes, he would probably marry you as well.
Was he into donkeys as well?
I don't know. There was something definitely wrong with the guy, so.
Oh, yes, yeah, he had something with cutting up dead animals anyway. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you all for a good evening on racing here on the Simsport Racing International YouTube channel. This was the third round of the GT3 Tier 2 Season 5 Championships, the AM and Silvers. What a race we had tonight. I have been your commentator, Mr. Warner Oliver. Joining us behind the cameras have as always been Grandpa Chris Hill. And nothing left to say except for thank you, good night, and exit song. Bam ba dam ba ba. Ah ba da ba 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 da ba ba. Ba ba da ba 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 da ba 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 ba.